Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Carolyn Rand with iResponse, and we thank you for joining our webinar today. We'll wait for just a few more seconds to allow others to join, so stay with us. We'll be right back, and we look forward to our conversation. Okay, everyone. Well, I have 3 o'clock on the nose here, Eastern Time, so we will go ahead and get started. Welcome again for those of you who just joined. My name is Carolyn Rand, and I'm with iResponse, and we appreciate you being here with us today. I did notice we have a few clients on our call and are joining today, so a special shout out and hello to you, and thank you for being here. So on today's webinar, we have 2 hosts. Our Chief Innovation Officer and the leader of our company, Rose Mentory, and myself. I've been with iResponse about 5 years, and before that, I spent 20 years with a major global hotel company in brand management and brand marketing roles. So I think I know a couple of you on the call today, and it's wonderful to see your names here. I'm honored to work with Rose Mentory. She has 40 plus years of industry experience. She started at a very young age. And like Rose, or like you, Rose worked in the hotel industry in various roles, operations, sales and marketing, in senior leadership roles, and she now leads iResponse. Rose has a wonderful passion for understanding data and analytics, and she loves sharing insights and trends that will inform business decisions. So you'll hear from Rose shortly. So we do have a lot to cover today, so we'll get started. First, just one housekeeping item. Please do enter any questions that you have. We welcome all questions throughout the presentation. If you will go to your GoToWebinar screen there and enter your questions as we go along, and you'll notice at the end of the presentation we have a Q&A, so we'll be sure to respond to those when we get there. So thank you for that. So let's take a quick look at iResponse, and we will take a quick look at iResponse. We'll let you know who we are and how we fulfill a need in the hospitality industry for both hotels and their restaurants, and why the information that we're sharing matters to us, and we're happy to share it with you. We'll take a deeper dive into year-over-year impact of COVID-19, looking at review volume trends March through June, and especially June's recovery, which that's great news that I know we're all sharing. We'll then take a quick look at STR data relative to occupancy by hotel class and occupancy trends for corporate versus leisure travel as well. We do have an interesting study from the AH&LA. It's their latest study. You may have seen it, but it's on how consumer behavior will affect the success of hotels for the remainder of the year. Some really great information coming out of that. And then afterwards, we will just really dive into strategies and share those for gaining your market share in our current environment. And we'll leave you with some actionable items that you can go back and immediately implement at your hotel. And of course, we'll end with a wrap up of takeaways, and then we'll have your Q&A. So let's start with a brief overview of iResponse. Our brand was created by hotel industry leaders who are passionate about delivering authentic and valuable services. We love the industry, and we partner with hotels and restaurants to strengthen and expand their online presence. We are a service provider. We're not an IT company or an ad agency or a software product. We get questions occasionally, but we are absolutely a service provider. That's where our passion is, to provide services to help you take care of your guests. So we are hoteliers. Our team members are knowledgeable industry professionals with a lot of experience that range from operations, sales and marketing, brand management, revenue management, and other areas of expertise, both at the hotel level and at the corporate level too. So we do love your business. We call it our business too. We understand it, and we know all the demands on your time to take care of your guests, especially now. In fact, we have a great respect for all of you right now that they're managing day to day and all the changes, and so we look forward to sharing this information with you. Our clients represent a full spectrum of the hospitality industry, from global and regional brands to boutique and lifestyle brands, as well as independent hotels and restaurants. And in addition, we are a proven provider for Marriott International, responding to guest reviews and brand surveys for hundreds of their hotels globally. So let's take a look at our services. First, we monitor and respond. Actually, we have 3 service solutions here that we're going to share with you. The first one is monitoring and responding to guest reviews and guest surveys on your behalf with an authentic and engaging voice, while always adhering to your brand standards. We know how important that is, and we respect all of your brand standards, no matter what brand, even the independent hotel standards as well. Our associates keep you and your teams in the loop with any concerning or alarming guest comments, and we like to think of us as being an extension of your team. Next, we post and engage on your social media pages like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We collaborate with your team and ensure that we adhere to your social media brand standards too, all of your brand standards across the board. Our team manages your direct messages by replying to questions and comments on your social channels like Facebook Messenger. And as many of you have probably experienced, and now that direct messaging is becoming a preferred way for guests to communicate with you, they'd just rather do that than picking up the phone or sending you an email. And when they do send you a DM, their expectations are high for a quick, and accurate response. So it's a new way of communicating that we all are aware of, and it's definitely one that we have to pay strict attention to. And we provide affordable pricing based on your needs, as one price doesn't fit all, nor does one service fit all. So that's kind of an overview of iResponse. So now I'd like to turn it over to Rose Mentry, and she'll take us through the data and the industry studies. And as a reminder, don't forget to put your questions in, and we'll grab those at the end. Rose?
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, everybody, for joining our webinar today. So let's start off with a quick look at what happened immediately after COVID-19 hit here in North America. Overall, our review volume dipped by 70.1%, and that was cumulative from March through June. When looking at a monthly result beginning of March 2020, we were pacing on target actually. However, it took a deep dive mid-March. And you could see here on the graph, it actually went down by 44.9%, even though it just hit us in the middle of the month. And then in April, we really saw the impact, the highest impact, with a reduction of 89% year over year in review volume in comparison to 2019. And May was still down, even though it did climb back up a little bit. It was down by 78.5% year over year. However, as you could see by June, we're sitting at negative 62.9%. With the announcement of Disney properties starting to take reservations as of July, people really started feeling, okay, this might be over soon, so we'll go ahead and make travel arrangements, or we'll go ahead and start traveling. And also, a lot of the states were opening up with their phase 1s. So we definitely saw that relief, per se, in the month of June. So when looking at this downturn in review volume, which has a direct correlation with occupancies, we found out that not all states performed the same. The chart on the left is telling of this story as it is all over the place by states. So I know you really cannot read the percentages, so we included them here on the right, where you could see the negative impact of COVID March through June, but really to show how it's up and down, it varies throughout the United States. Maine was the highest impacted by COVID by negative 88.3% down, and Nebraska was the lowest. One footnote, for the extended stay product properties, such as Residence Inns, Homewood Suites, Extended Stay America, we did not see a lessening in review volume during March through June, simply because there were a lot of trucks, drivers, they had to work overtime, they still had to travel, a lot of traveling nurses, doctors, physicians close to hospitals. So they really kept on chugging, or I should say going along with the occupancies that they enjoyed in previous years. So when comparing these results against June, because we really want to see what's going on in the June rebound, we started seeing a different picture from the previous slide. So combine March through June data versus June. So June data is here in the pink, in the light pink. March through June is in gray. You could see that majority of states began rebounding at a good pace, with some clearing negative year-over-year growth. So the ones in the green here, Idaho, Oklahoma, down to Maine, they actually were definitely on a rebound. Idaho was leading the way at 87.3% here. And it's a huge bounce back because in the previous chart, they were at negative 42.5%. Hawaii unfortunately fell into last place as they closed down the islands for travel, and that will remain closed until mid-August from what we understand, unless they re-announce that they might be opening up a little bit earlier. So next, we'd like to share some STAR reported results and the future trends as to what they're looking at and what they're finding. So this chart here shows a 1-month comparison by hotel class in occupancy growth for North America, end of May through the end of June. So for example, the luxury class hotels in the end of May through end of June, they actually bounced back by 15%, 15.5% in occupancy, upper scale 13.3, and so on. As you can see, the variance in the chart. So the recovery is definitely going, despite the COVID-19 cases increasing in certain areas of the United States. From May to week ending June 27th, as stated, every class has shown an increase. The least growth in the economy class was 9.5%, with the most growth in the upper mid scale, which is over here, was at 18%. The economy class is leading the pack, though, in May and in June in occupancy, and the upper upscale class is performing least in occupancy for both months, as we could see. Looking back, also wanted to share what happened in April and May. Occupancy took a hit at a negative 63.9% year over year, down by 24.5% nationally, as you could see ADR RevPAR, again, negative as well. In May, looking back, they actually ended up at a negative 51.7%, ended up at a 33.1%, again, growth from April to May in occupancies throughout, down still at 51.7%. One footnote that STAR is doing is when they're comparing, a lot of hotels started closing down. They really didn't take those out because they really want a good comparison to see what went on with the hotels that did shut down, as well as the hotels that were staying open. So these occupancies do reflect the hotels that were shut down. So to keep that in mind as well. So looking at the corporate traveler rebound versus leisure traveler, STAR reported that the leisure market is outperforming by as much as 51.2% in some areas, and feel that this is a great indicator of leisure demand being very healthy throughout the United States. So what they did is they took hotel locations that does well during the week from the corporate traveler, and also well from the leisure traveler in the past, to see how they perform in our current environment. And the results vary, as we could see, from anywhere from 32%, so weekday corporate traveler, occupancy at 19.7, weekend leisure went up to 52.3%. So there's a variance of 32.6 point difference between the leisure traveler and the corporate traveler. And the other thing that I did include here is a quote from Jan, that the weekend is a very strong indicator that leisure demand is very healthy across the United States, and they feel it's going to stay that way through 2020 and, well, probably into 2021, once this virus really, again, seasonally in the winter time, might take off, depending on what happens with what they find and what they do. So next, wanted to share what AH&LA did. They did a travel survey in June. They really wanted to see what the pulse is from the consumer as far as travel in this environment, and is it going to really be negative, or are we going to keep seeing rebound? What's going to happen? So the first thing that they saw was that 44% of the surveyed will travel and plan on an overnight vacation for 2020. So here are the results of their specific questions of this 44%. So when asked what kind of travel they're planning, 81% expected a day trip and 72% expect to take an overnight vacation via car within the next 5 months. So that means fall and winter will probably see good growth in occupancies, especially from the leisure traveler. And how far they're traveling was another one that they asked. Amongst those planning a vacation via car, 75% plan to travel 2 or more hours, indicating an overnight stay, which is again a good indication. Where are they staying on their next overnight trip was 43% say they will stay with family or friends because they still feel safe, that it's safer to stay with the family and friends, obviously, but 39% in a hotel. So that's, again, great news for us that they feel that hotel is a safe location for them and their family to stay at. How long are they staying for? 78% are planning trips of 4 nights or less. And why are they're traveling? So 55% plan to travel for family events, such as weddings, reunions. And now remember, a lot of them were postponed as of March, April, May, June. So hopefully a lot of those will be coming back in the fall for our properties. And then 50% plan to travel for Christmas, which is great because that's very high occupancy and ADR months for our hotels. 43% for Thanksgiving, which is great. And 33%, when this poll was taken back in June, 33% of them were going to be traveling for July 4th, which again is a great indicator. They felt safe that quickly. And 30% for Labor Day. So one thing to note with what Chip was stating, the president and CEO of AH&LA, that stay safe is the most important item in the consumer's mind when making their hotel choice. So keep that in mind, because we are going to go through some slides showing how you can indicate that it is safe to stay at your property. In addition, I don't know if you have seen the article, but just this week, many brands announced that they have moved into a mandatory masks for all guests while they are indoors and even if they're outdoors. And also social distancing reminders throughout the hotel will be posted. And AH&LA sent letters last week to Trump administration, the National Governors Association, and the United States Conference of Mayors, urging them to standardize to use the face coverings across all 50 states. So what's happening now is, as a result, some of the brands are actually going to make sure that they have masks available for all their guests throughout their stay. So now we're going to jump into, all right, stay safe is the buzzword. How are we going to share that? How are we going to grow our market share in a COVID world? And I'm going to pass it back to Carolyn to go over a couple of key factors.
Great. Thank you so much, Rose, and thanks for that information. As Rose just said, that AH&LA survey indicated that people are really anxious to get their getaways and plan their, holiday stays between now and the end of the year, but of course with safety top of mind. So how can you, as a hotelier, communicate a clean and healthy hotel stay to these future travelers? Well, we believe leveraging what you're seeing here on the screen, all of your communication strategies, and throughout all your channels with the safety message will contribute to growing your market share. I mean, I think we would all agree that one thing we know for sure during this pandemic is that that's been proved is that your communication with travelers throughout all of your channels are critical. They're going to hit you up from every direction, so we have to be prepared to look at all and respond quickly. But these channels are your hotel website, OTAs, online reviews, social media, direct messaging, and hotel direct efforts. So we'll move on to hotel direct now. What we have found is consumers are changing their purchasing behavior and visiting a hotel's website first. And that's mainly because they want to see, what your COVID safety information is, and they expect it to be on your hotel website for sure. And of course, your loyal guests will always visit your hotel website first, but that's a great change of behavior that we're seeing across the board, is that's where they are going first. So be sure to keep your hotel website updated. Consider a banner and landing page if you don't have it already. I know a lot of the major brands did, set the hotels up with that, and you can get local information about your hotel on your proprietary site. But include an FAQ document too, to let them know what to expect. The questions are all over the board, so it's easy for them to quickly look at that FAQ and see a quick answer to that question. What guests want to know? There's a lot. What measures are in place for cleaning your public space and your guest rooms? Will hand sanitizing stations be available throughout the hotel? One that we've noticed is, are rooms vacant for 24 hours between guest visits? What food and beverage options will they have? And the number one question that we get is your pool open? So if you have a pool, you probably, I would agree that that's one of the number one questions that we're seeing. They also want to know about other amenities like your fitness center and so on. But lastly, don't forget to update your Google My Business periodically to reflect your most current info for those that are doing organic searches for your hotel. Excuse me. All right, let's go on now and look at OTAs. As we mentioned, consumers are visiting the hotel website first for the most part to get that direct COVID information. But on the OTAs, what they're doing now is relying on a third-party source, such as the International Well Building Institute's COVID Health Safety Rating. And I'm not sure if you've heard of that yet. It's in the news. It's a mark signaling that evidence-based protocols grounded in science have been both adopted and verified with third-party document review. So that's the OTA's way of saying that, yes, if a hotel has that designation, then they will provide a safe environment as verified by a third party. Some OTAs might take this certification into account for hotel rankings and positioning on their sites rather than the guest satisfaction ratings that were previously used. So if you're interested in this rating, you can check it out and file an application for their assessment and send a proof to the OTAs. And then in the meantime, it's just more important than ever. And I think we all say that so much, but there's just no better way to say it. It's more important than ever to stay engaged with your past guests. Respond to their reviews in a timely fashion, and let those reviews that you respond to influence your future guest concerns, specifically about your safety. Key components to keep in mind is monitor all of your online reviews and surveys on all channels. It's really the first step that you have to take to ensure that your guest feedback is never missed. Respond to 100% of your reviews. I know that some hotels respond to maybe only negative reviews or to a percentage of all their reviews, but by responding to every review, positive, neutral, and negative, you're proving to those travelers that you hear them and you are actively engaged in their feedback, and future travelers will notice. Ensure you respond on all the sites, TripAdvisor, Google, Facebook, and all the OTAs. And don't forget to leverage your Expedia in-house alerts for service recovery. Some guests may not feel comfortable down at the front desk often, but they want to send a quick, DM or in-house message, and they would like a reply that way. So, and remember that your loyal guest will always trust your reviews and your responses on your brand's website. So many of the brands have relaxed their requirements and their standards regarding responding, but we feel like it's very important to keep up with those because your guest will be there reading those reviews and your responses. If more travelers are staying at your hotel, that means more reviews, and that means you're busy. And so don't let your reviews take a back seat. Always stay on top of those. Now let's talk a little bit about social media. We believe this is one of your greatest opportunities to showcase your experience and the safety of your hotel. So establishing a social media strategy is critical. Your Facebook and Instagram content really goes a long way in confirmed bookings. If you don't have a presence on Instagram now, now is the time. Instagram is now in its 10th year this year, and some travelers and future travelers will go to Instagram first to see if you have a presence there. So if you don't utilize Instagram, we highly encourage that, in addition to Facebook. Both of these channels are perfect for creating that visual expectation. Leisure travelers, as we know, they want to see people swimming in your pool. They want to know what the food and beverage is going to look like. They want to see others relaxing at your hotel's outdoor patio or by your fire pit, just to set to set that experience in their mind. So first and foremost, share your COVID-19 updates and precautions, and don't feel timid about doing that. Share those on your social sites as well. It instills trust and stimulates confidence. Set the scenario for hotel check-in and check-out and what engaging with your staff will look like. Visually communicate what guests can expect with your F&B, and don't forget LinkedIn. It's an important channel. Some hotels use it and some don't. Many directors of sales or GMs may have their own personal profile, but use it to network with other travel industry professionals and decision makers. We've noticed a tremendous increase in LinkedIn usage over the last few months, and I think with some really good results as we read the comments. So now about your content and how important it is to use those confidence building images, images of both your travelers and your team members in your hotel. Leverage user-generated content, both photos and videos, that really shows credibility when other guests are sharing their photos of how they felt safe and enjoying your hotel in the new reality. Keep your hotel fans updated on local attractions. If you have wineries close by, theme parks, beaches, museums, or if there's companies close by, corporate headquarters where someone will be visiting, just be sure to share updates on what's open and what's closed with your major attractions. And use a mix of organic and paid social. And create actionable posts to drive bookings. We think that's important. Many hotels use just organic only, and that is fine. But when occasionally you do use paid social, you certainly get increased exposure and engagement. Okay, and now direct messaging, which we spoke about earlier. Respond to your direct messages, and it can lead to immediate bookings and grow your market share. Be sure to check them regularly on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also channels like booking.com. We see a lot of DMs that are coming through OTAs. Respond quickly and consistently. And here's something that I think to me is so important, because as a hotelier, we all have that heart of hospitality. So there's never been a better time to show it. Show your care, show your compassion in your responses, and it'll go a long way in building trust with your guests and building relationships as well. So we've covered some actionable items that you can take to grow your market share and leverage your hotel website, your OTAs and online reviews, your social media channels, and direct messaging. And now I'd like to turn it back over to Rose to talk about Hotel Direct.
Thank you.
Rose?
So last but not least, Hotel Direct sales is a key to our success. And clients' needs are changing as we see it. Sales strategies are evolving, which it has to, including segments and mix of business for our hotels. So here are things to keep in mind when navigating the Hotel Direct efforts in keeping your market share. So first thing that maintain and winning new business, obviously, is our first target at any given time. And sales team that you have might have been furloughed and just are getting back themselves. It is imperative for them to strengthen relationships by communicating with your corporate transient accounts as you rely on them, and also reach out to your repeat guests. In addition, all indicators are that the leisure market is coming back, as we saw, much quicker than the corporate travel. So concentrate on wholesalers and tour operators for last-minute room requests, and also connect with meeting planners and your future groups on the books to reassure that all the precautions have been taken by the hotel team for their group to have a safe stay when they arrive. The other thing that I was thinking about is mix of business and revenue management. So the consumer decision factor, which used to be, is no longer based on pricing, but about safety foremost. So you could be a 4-star hotel or a 3-star hotel per se on an OTA, but if you are out there talking about safety, and if you post, as Carolyn was saying, pictures, or individuals post their own pictures on your Instagram and Facebook and so on, it really outshines the hotel that might be a 4-star, and the individual might go ahead and choose to stay with you because of safety. What's out there about safety that has been taking place for COVID-19. So therefore, your revenue management strategies should not be necessarily to lowering rates at this time, to shift share from your competition. In addition, more than likely your hotel's mix of business has changed due to new guidelines, and your revenue strategies by market mix must be realigned accordingly. So for example, if you relied heavily on in-house groups and or functions, you will have to recalculate each meeting and function space capacities according to the new guidelines of individuals seated 6 feet apart from each other, or maximum seating in the rounds of 6 for banquets. So this in turn is going to dictate how many room nights you can capture from your in-house groups, and what other market segments you and your team will have to target to make up for the difference. Another example, if you rely on international tour and travel, you will have to replace this transient and or group segment with domestic travelers. So you therefore might have to allocate and target more rooms on AAA, AARP, wholesalers, and tour operators that handles domestic and tour and travel. So offer more rewards points is another example to your loyalty members for their stay. Create value-added packages with a short booking and stay windows to get call to action. Spending time in readjusting your revenue targets by market segment is going to give you a clearer roadmap of what actions has to be taken immediately to ensure your success for 2020 and beyond due to the new circumstances with the COVID-19. So in closing, just quickly, key takeaways. Travel is returning. Guests will be staying at hotels. They care about safety first. They want to know what their experience will look like at your hotel. So encourage travelers to stay with you and secure a competitive edge in your market. You really have to start, number 2 is showcasing your story on social media, answering travelers' questions, and responding to guest reviews. Number 3, if your hotel is operating with limited staffing, leaving no time to stay social and stay engaged. Save labor costs by partnering with a company such as iResponse that will take care of you while you take care of your guests. And number 4, it's more important than ever to be proactive and be engaged with your guests while the industry we love so much shows signs of recovery. And we all learn to navigate this new normal together for a successful 2020 and beyond. So with that, we'll move on to Q&A portion of our meeting. Carolyn, are there any questions that were asked?
Yes, actually, we have 3 different questions, Rose, and I'll be glad to take. So the first question is, have you seen examples of how hotels are using social media to show what's happening in their hotel? And this one came up earlier in the week too. Yes, we have. And I can give you a couple of examples. One, we saw a director of sales who posted on LinkedIn, and she showed a photo of her hotel boardroom with a caption that was something similar to, here's what your next boardroom meeting will look like in a social distancing setting. And, it was great. There were a lot of engagement on that post. We also saw a second one that showed a photo of a hotel team member. Well, it was actually a photo of team members. Maybe they had just been welcomed back. They were furloughed and they were welcomed back, and they all had masks on, which we know that's going to be required by next Monday, the 27th. So it was a great photo, with 5 or 6 team members, all looking professional and with their mask on. And I love that one. And we're noticing that management companies are sharing, their stories about their different hotels. They're showing team members at the front desk and how you can have a safe check-in, a contactless check-in, I guess is what we're calling it. So those are 3 examples. I know there's many more. If you're on LinkedIn, I'm sure you've seen them, and if you follow other hotels on Facebook, but it's really a perfect way to demonstrate, as we said earlier, show them the visual experience at your hotel. I hope we answered that one correctly and well enough for the person who asked, so thank you for asking that one. The second one is, are you seeing more positive or negative reviews? And we're seeing a good mix of both. What we're finding is that guests who felt safe during their stay, they're leaving a 5-star review and even thanking the hotel staff for taking those precautions and providing them with the confidence that they needed to stay. So those are terrific reviews to have for future travelers to see. For negative reviews, mainly those are guests who were surprised or disappointed when they got to a hotel because they were expecting a larger breakfast, maybe a buffet, I don't know, but they were disappointed by a breakfast bag. And their pool was also, closed or maybe had limited hours, and they didn't realize that. Now, what we don't know is if those guests, really researched before they came to the hotel or not, but that's why sharing all that information up front will help keep guests satisfied and not disappointed. We have one client that's out in California that comes to mind, and their restrictions are changing, regularly. The lounge is open, and then the next notice is the lounge has to be closed, or the restaurant is open for takeout, but it's not. So it's challenging, and that's where social media, you can quickly show, you can put up a message that our restaurant is now closed until future notice, or it's just a great way to leverage your social media. And I think that's pretty much, the third question here, I'm sorry, is how do you access user-generated content? That's a really good question, and we are happy to take the conversation offline with our attendee here. Be glad to talk to you about that. There's a number of ways. It takes a lot of monitoring, but it's by hashtags or looking a lot of different sites to find that user-generated content. But we do it successfully for a lot of our clients, and we do find that the engagement rises when we leverage user-generated content. So one person who's asking will be able to download the presentation. And Rose, I'll let you answer that, please.
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. Okay, so we could do this one of 2 ways. We could send it to you directly, or we always go ahead and post it on YouTube, and we also have it on our website available, which is iresponse.com. And actually, let me get to the next slide. Here's our information. Oh, thank you. You just
I love that. We added this a little humor, didn't we, Rose? Because we know that this is the world that you're living in every day. Some of us are, we're a virtual team, so some of us may not wear masks at home, but we admire and respect all that you're doing, and we are on board with the mask. And I know as guests start arriving at your hotel next Monday, our thoughts will be with you. They really want to see all team members, and of course we want to see all guests in masks too in those public spaces. In fact, one of the reviews that came back negative was that a guest was upset because some of the team members weren't wearing masks. So we wanted to just kind of show you that we support you, we're in this with you, and our contact information is there, as Rose mentioned. So let's see if there's any others. One person likes our mask, so thank you so much, Stuart, for that comment. But we appreciate everyone attending today, and looking forward to hearing from you and continue the conversation. And please do reach out if we can just have a casual conversation with you, share ideas, or if you're interested in our services. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.